during the break, I was double confused. So it is kind of, once you get used to the port button in most online games, then you don't actually ever think about it again. So it's kind of like nostalgia for me. But again, let's go over the maths again, okay? So Itai opens to 12. In this case, suppose Ralph with his pocket threes decided to call. Okay, so then the pot would be 12 plus 12 plus 1 plus 2. The pot would be 27, okay? Now, if you wants to make a squeeze raise above both of them, he needs to think about it in two parts. The first part will be, if he would call, he needs to call 10 in order to participate, right? So if he called, the pot would be 37. So what he needs to do is make the call in his head, what's 10, and add to that another 37 to make it a pot size bet. So that's actually a $47 raise in this case, and not 64 the way I said before. Is it clear, or do you want me to repeat that again? Okay, just 12, 12, 1, 2, it's 27. And then Yuri needs to call, as if call, not really call, but if he calls, it will be 10. And then another 37, which will be the new pot size. So that's a total of raise to 47. Okay? But that's just the math, the way it works. Okay, cool. So before we go on any further, I just wanted to ask if you have any questions regarding anything we discussed in the lesson, if it's the terminology, what is premium, strong hands, maybe the bet sizing, or anything basically, like what the hands you open from every position in the table. Okay. No. Okay. So let's move on then. Again, I remind you, we're not playing post-flop. All I want to see now is your pre-flop game. So once we get to the post-flop, just someone make a bet and someone fold, so we can discuss the hand. Tal, it's on you now.
Sorry, now I'm back.
No problem. I'll just let you know what I didn't say before is if you decide to make a re-raise, yeah, so just make it like slightly more than 2 times the raise. So in this case, the size is pretty good. Okay, and now just I just make a bet and these are just fault, so I don't want to play this.
In other case, I wouldn't fold, but
I know it's tempting. I know it's tempting to be calling here or to raise whatever, but we'll get to that. And don't worry. I really just want to. Okay, so again, very good. 3 times fold. Notice that a good fold by Ralph, by the way. He shouldn't be calling with Queen 10 here. Raise the 3 times. Okay, so again, we said we opened to 3 times the opening, and the raise is also 3 times if it's just a single player. And if we want to re-raise, so it's actually slightly more than twice the bet. So in this case, you should probably make it like 38 or something, but yeah, sure, that's fine. That's a good bet anyway. And in this case, you should be folding. I mean, Just letting you know. if you make a raise with ace queen against someone that opened from the hijack and he re-raises you, then you shouldn't be calling. I mean, just for you're also out of position, so like it's not something you want to be doing. Okay, so again, good folds by Dane and by Yuri. That's the H2 suited is in both speculative range, which you should for now be folding. Okay. Also 5-6 suited is kind of weak to be opening from the cutoff, and it's a good fold. Okay, so I'll just make a bet and I'll just fold. So or whatever, the other way around, I don't care. just so we can discuss the preflop. Okay. Okay, so by the way, very good fold by Yuri in the cutoff with the ace-8. That's in the folding hands. Okay, so I'll notice two things about this. First of all, when you raise, you need to make it 3 times the bet, okay? Because the way you did it now, you did it just slightly more than the minimum raise. You made it to 14. So you basically made it impossible for Tal to be folding almost anything in this case. So, I mean, you just make sure to make the raise the proper size raise. That's number one. Always make it 3 times. Afterwards, I can tell you how you can adjust it a bit in your position, or according to the stack size. That's number one. Number two, king 2. I mean, I understand you want to be bluffing on occasion, okay, but I want to show you again. I'm going to share my screen with you. Just a moment. Okay, so notice again, I mean, about the type of hands we're talking about, yes? That's the premium hands. Okay, notice that this is king 2 offsuit, okay, here on the bottom left. You see that? So that's a premium hand. These are the strong hands. These are the medium hands. These are the speculative hands, okay? And these are the trash hands, okay? King 2 offsuit is squarely in the trash hands. You never play the trash hands, never, okay? You don't call them, you don't raise with them as a bluff, you don't open with them. The only way you should see a flop with any of the trash hands is if someone limps to you and you want the big blind and you are forced to check, okay? So if you want to bluff, I mean, you can bluff with anything else. You can bluff with the speculative hands. I mean, let's say raising with a 7-9 suited, I think is fine. If you wanted to make a bluff. Obviously, you shouldn't be making it too often. Otherwise, people would stop respecting your raises. I mean, on occasion, just a bluff here, bluff there. If you want to make a raise with one of the medium hands or even the strong hands, because you think people are not taking you seriously, so, raising with an ace-10 offsuit or something like that, and they would call you with shitty hands, that's also okay. Obviously, you want to raise your premiums for value. I mean, for someone to call you and you can get money out of it because you have the best hand. but never do that with any of his hands, not even as a bluff, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so any questions, by the way? And by the way, in case I wasn't clear, I said, notice that I said raising is 3 times and re-raising is 2.1. I mean, you open, let's say the blinds are here 1, 2, okay? So you open to 6, you raise to 18, that's 3 times, and you re-raise the 18 to, let's say, I don't know, 38 or something, okay? So that's a re-raise is raising the raise, just in case I wasn't clear. Okay, very good. Everyone defaulted the trashy hands. Okay, Tal, it's on you now. Okay, so Mark makes a good opening. Danny, you can either call or fold, both are fine. I think folding is fine. I normally just call here with pocket fives, but I mean, it's kind of the reason I do that is because if Ralph decides to call you, and many players do make too many calls, that's a very common thing. So if someone does decide to call you, you're going to be facing a flop with 3 higher cards than your pocket fives. You're going to have an underpair quite often, and it will be very hard for you to be playing this out of position. I mean, let's say you make a bet and Ralph calls, then you've basically lost. So unless there's a special dynamic, I usually just like to call here with with a low pocket pair, and just try to hit 5 or play a small pot. I would make you can raise as a bluff. I don't know, with a suited hand, or raise for value with the 2 high cards, King Jack or something like that. But pocket fives I would just call. But that's just me. I mean, some players will disagree with me. It's not necessarily the case. So some things in poker are kind of political. There are disagreements between professional players, and I think, at least in this case, there would be some disagreements. Okay, I'll just note here, Ralph, you should have opened this. it's okay, but you folded. I'm just saying, like, hold on, let me see. Can you see the chart over here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just show you again. That's what you should be opening from the cutoff. The cutoff is, again, position to the right of the button. Okay.
Yep. I hesitated.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, from the cutoff, you have exactly 3 active players after you. So, like something, yeah, that's basically a range of hands you should be opening from the cutoff. But I mean, if you want the hijack, then you wouldn't have these hands, okay, and you also wouldn't have some of these as well. But since you're on the cutoff, then you can open. Hold on, no, sorry. Yeah, that's what you should be opening from the cutoff, okay.
Okay.
So I mean, because a suited ace is a decent hand, ace 4 suited. You can hit, you know, it's nice. You get to play. You could hit like a not the best kind of flash. You can hit maybe some straight, like the wheel, you know, all sorts of things. It's okay. It's an okay hand. Not to be opening from the hijack, but yes, from the cutoff. That's a very small mistake, though. So just like that, you know. Okay, so I'll just make a bet and fold so we can discuss. We can discuss the flop, the pre-flop. Okay, so here everything was fine. I just note 2 things. First of all, a good fold by Dana. Many people like to call with the suited kings, but it's kind of a very speculative hand. So definitely not a call and a good fold here. You should be calling here with the 8-9 suited. Some would even raise. So like I like calling him in this spot, but raising is also fine as a bluff, of course. And Tal's call is fine. If I definitely would call here, but if you were called, Tal can consider making a squeeze bet. And just tell me this. I mean, Tal, are you here?
Yes. What's a squeeze back?
You didn't. You weren't here when we discussed it before. But if it was a squeeze bet, so I'll ask Eyal then. Eyal, tell me if let's say you open to 6 and you calls the 6, and Tal wants to make a squeeze bet. He wants to make a raise above all of you. How big should the bet be? Do you know?
At least twice of me, I guess.
No. So let's go over the math again, okay? So
can I ask?
Yeah.
Maybe I multiply the 6 by 3 and add the 6.
Let's make it properly, and then we can find a formula if you want. Okay.
15,
so
15 maybe.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is Eyal makes a bet of 6, okay, and you calls the 6, okay, and there's already 3 in the pot, right? So we have 12 plus 3, so that's 15 in the pot already, okay? Now Tal needs to call 13 in order to, sorry, you see, that's how I got confused last time. Okay, so Tal needs to call 4 in order to join the pot. So he needs to call 4, and then after he calls the 4, the pot would be 19. Okay, and again, we're talking about an imaginary scenario when Eyal makes a bet of 6, Yuri calls the 6, and Tal wants to make a raise above both of you guys. Okay, so he needs to first, supposedly needs to call first, making it 4 to call, making the pot 19, and then betting 19 on top of that. So his total bet would be 23. That's it, okay? And if it was a pot button here, then he could click the pot button and make it 23 if he wanted. Again, calling even on top of both of you guys is also fine. I'm just giving you the numbers. The 4 comes from the amount you need to call in order to join the pot in the first place.
And then you added 4.
Yeah, so basically, you need to call 4 in order to join the pot, right?
Yes.
So you need to call the 4 and then add 19 on top of that. Okay, because the pot will be 19 after you call. Let's say Izhar makes it 6, you will make it 6. If you made it 6, the pot will be 19, and then you add you add the 19, so that's 23.
Okay.
Well, we'll go over it again in the next lesson. So I'm just giving you the numbers now again, just to make it clear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tal, it's on you now. I need one of you at least. Tal, just make check and let Itai make a bet and take the pot, okay? Because again, I don't want to talk about how to play post-flop right now. Cool, thanks. We're really just laser focused on the preflop. Okay, so it's a fold. Very good. Itai makes it 3x, which is excellent, and Tal makes it 3x on top of that. 3x means 3 times his bet, so that's 18. I'm going to go over some adjustments in the next, maybe even today I'll discuss it, but for now let's stay with that, okay? So that's good. Okay, now Tal, Itai, are you here by any chance? No, I don't think he's with us. So Tal, tell me, Itai, you're here, okay. So suppose you wanted to re-raise here, instead of just making a call. How big a raise would you need to make it? Can you tell me? Yeah, okay, so like we're saying like slightly more than twice the amount, so like 38 would be, I think, a good amount, maybe even 39. Yeah, okay. But like calling is fine too. I mean, it depends on, I mean, before you know anyone, I mean, you can assume that people are not bluffing. So you don't want to be raising even with okay hands. So maybe we could have aces or something, but an ace king. But yeah, right now, like, I guess just calling is also fine. And yeah, that's good. Okay, so 5-6 suited. Well, yeah, that's actually one of the hands you should be opening with. It's just on the bottom. I'll show you again. Hold on. It was actually a very good open. Can you see the chart now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, these are the hands we are opening from the button and the small blind. Okay, and so we don't have any of the trash hands. Okay, and for now we're not including the speculative hands here. But notice that 5-6 suited is still in here, so that's a good opening. That's 40% of hands in total, which is quite a lot. Okay. Okay, nothing interesting here. Okay, so note that these are the hands. We actually even have it open here. So these are the hands we're opening from the button and the small blind. And 7-10 offsuit is not in one of those hands. It's actually in the trash category. So again, don't play the trash hands, not even from the button or the cutoff, okay?
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. And just I noticed that if I wait for the end of the hand, I need to wait for the animation to complete. So I just cut it right away to save us some time. Because I had a very bad hand. And there wasn't anything interesting to discuss anyway. Okay, I'll just make it, yeah, you will just, well, whatever. I don't care. You want to, I don't care. If you just end it now, if you fall the goal in or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so two things regarding this. Okay, first of all, Eyal, I mean, under the gun range, yeah, let's just clear everything. So that's under the gun. Yeah, that's under the gun range, okay? So some would say even without the ace-10, but I think ace-10 is fine here. But so this is the kind of range you should be opening for under the gun. You open the ace-4 suited, which is over here. Okay, now I mean, I actually do open these hands as well, because that's kind of skill-based. So the more competent you become, the more you become, you understand ranges, you understand how to play post-flop, you can add more hands to your opening range from every position. So it wasn't like a huge mistake or something like that. But I think you should avoid playing hands like ace-4 suited, at least until like you get a good grasp of the theory, okay, and some experience with that as well, okay? Notice again, we don't have pocket fours, we don't have anything, any suited ace below ace-8. Still, I mean, still several good hands you can open from here. So, okay, that's one mistake. You made another mistake. You made the 3-bet. You made the raise too small. We call it a 3-bet, okay, because Izhar's is the second bet, and you made a 3-bet. That's the raise above him, okay. So again, you need to make it 3 times his bet. So if he made it 6, you need to make it 18. The way you made it, I mean, you just made it too small. Regardless, I would still fold in his house place. I mean, normally when someone makes a mistake and makes a raise too small, then you should normally just call him because the raise is too small and you're getting good odds. But in this case, Izhar, your hand is really like, I mean, it's not bad objectively, but it's bad in regards to the type of hands you should be opening from under the gun. These are the hands you should be opening from under the gun, okay? That's 14% of the best hands in the game. And you opened the ace-4 suited, which is not in the 14%, which is in the 20-something% or whatever. So your hand is bad, subjectively it's bad, okay? And then when someone raises you, you want to be protecting yourself. You want to be calling or re-raising when you're actually in, the better hands you have, okay? These are the hands you should be having when you're opening from under the gun. So when you should never defend the worst hands you're opening with. Suppose you open pocket fives or ace-10 offsuit or ace-9 suited, and someone raises you, you fold right away. But what if you have an ace-queen or you have an ace or pocket jacks? Then that's a different thing. Maybe you should consider maybe calling, maybe re-raising, okay? But you always, when you're opening a hand which is on the lower part of your opening range, then you don't want to defend it. You just fold it right away when someone shows their position. Understood?
Yes, I just called because his value was good for me. His bet was too high, and I could get the nuts. So it was not a big race, so I tried to call it.
Yes, I understand. Okay, well, just, I mean, note what I said about that. I mean, I understand if someone makes a very small raise, then you can decide to cover whatever. Yeah? And post-flop, I'm not going to talk about that because, obviously don't do that. Okay, so let's go on. Oops. There's a weird button here. I'm not familiar. Oh, reset. Okay, cool. Nothing interesting. Sorry, I messed with your stack, but I wanted to give you a thumbs up for the previous round, and instead I reset your stack to 200. Note that like this is a very conservative type of game which we're discussing. We're not going wild. opening shitty hands, from all sorts of positions. We're just playing very solid. You can play like that in your sleep. I mean, once you get used to it. Okay, just someone make a bet, and okay. So just a couple of things. I mean, Queen 4 suited. It's in the speculative type of hands. Again, like these are the hands you should be opening from the button. Again, not a big mistake, I think. Just reminding you, like the hands that I recommend that you open from the button. Okay, oops. Yeah, something like that, and obviously that. Yeah, so these are the hands you should be opening from the button. And you opened Queen 4 suited, which again is not a mistake, but like it's a more adventurous kind of game. It's not solid. Okay, so just mind that. And regarding the A6 call, I'm not sure. I guess you can call, but I mean, especially if you know that Izar is opening a lot of hands. Folding is definitely the more conservative thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, if any questions, then feel free to stop me before I proceed to the next hand. Okay.
Was Queen 10 a good fold?
You had the Queen 10 where on the small blind?
I think on the cutoff.
On the cutoff, you had Queen 10. I missed that.
I'm not sure if it was the cutoff, but I had the Queen 10 and I folded.
Wait, hold on, I see the cut is again. Itai, it's on you now. Wait, hold on, Dane. It was you that said about the Queen 10?
No, it was me, Yuri.
You. So you had Queen 10 under the gun. No, yeah, under the gun, definitely Queen 10 is a fold.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if I have it. No, that's the button one. We keep alternating between under the gun and the button. So let's say.
It would be really nice to have those charts.
Yeah, I'll send you everyone all the charts. I think as you see, there are two issues here. One of them is the sizing, which most of you seem to be not completely on par with the sizing exactly like you, and sizing is actually kind of simple. You see, just 3 times the big blind, 3 times the bet, 2.1 when you raise. Obviously, in this case, sizing, we haven't talked about this case, but which is ours in, but
wow, okay, let me think. Because that was too big, but yeah, I have to call.
And you know what? Just in this case, I'll let you play the hand. Of course, obviously, we're just doing preflop, but since it's a funny one.
Well, I fold, especially because you said that was interesting. So I guess he's out something interesting. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, but I touched nothing, and he re-attacked. So I just assumed that.
Okay. Anyway, let's talk about it for now. Okay. So first of all, a good opening by Zar, a good raise by Rav. Okay, Itai should have folded here. Okay, and the reason he should fold is exactly what happened next. I mean, calling the 18, if you're sure like 100% that Izar is never going to re-raise, I guess it's fine. But I mean, the action isn't even closed there. So you're calling 18, you're spending another $16 just for maybe seeing a flop and maybe hitting an 8. So like you could call a 6, but calling like already a raise from the blind, no, that's just not good enough. Yeah, like you could maybe with pocket, if you had pocket jacks, pocket 10s, maybe pocket queens, you could call, but not with pocket 8s. Just fold here every time. Now regarding this, okay, so like look, regarding the sizing, the exact sizing you should be doing here isn't Itai is asking, so only fold, no re-raise? Absolutely, yes. You should never re-raise here. Unless you know something about the dynamics going on and you think both Ralph and Izhar could have like, I don't know, 5-6 suited or pocket 5s or whatever. But normally, unless you're dealing with crazy people, why would you ever intervene with pocket 8s? Think about it. The hijack opened, and the hijack only opens like already 20% of hands, something like that. And then Ralph decides to raise him. So you should have a pretty decent hand. And what are you going to do? Like re-raise him, make it 38. And you should make it, if you're going to raise, you should make it 38 times the 6 of his arm. So make it 44. You could. If you're going to raise here, you should make it 44, yes. But I would fold. Okay, now regarding his arm, you decide to squeeze both of them, which is great, I think. But consider the sizing for a moment, okay? The pot, it says, there is a pot text here, it says it's 43. How is it 43? It's 18 plus, oh, hold on. It's 18 plus your 6 plus 1, which is equal 43, right? Now, if you would call here, the pot size would be inflated by 12 more. So it would be 55 if you called, okay, because you would call 12. And then if you decide to make a pot size bet on top of that, okay, so we're talking about 12 plus 55. So your raise should be something like 67. Okay, so yeah, 90 is way too much. And notice that you should have a pretty good indication that it was too much when Ralph decided to call, but we'll get to that in a moment. But first of all, everyone understands the concept of pot size squeeze.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, okay, again, like Izhar needs to make, let's say Izhar wants to make a pot size raise now, okay? So first of all, he calls. He doesn't really call, he doesn't click the call button, but in his mind he calls, he adds the 12 that need to be added to make a call. And then he bets an additional pot above the 12. Okay?
Yeah.
So he calls 12 and then he adds another 55 on top to make it a pot size raise. Okay? I'm trying to think of another way to say that, but I'm not sure. Do you understand now?
Yeah. But the squeeze, you do it only because I re-raised and Itai called my re-raise. Let's say Itai folded, then Izhar, if you want to re-raise me, then he would have done the
X. Then it was 2.1.
2.1. Exactly. Okay, understood.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that a squeeze, like a pot size squeeze, is necessarily the best play here, by the way. I mean, he could make it even less than 67, I think, but I'm saying he shouldn't make it more than 67, okay? A pot size squeeze is kind of the cap. So yeah, so like 67, I wouldn't make it more than 67. That's number one. Number two, note Ralph, that the bet was so big, okay, his bet was so unproportional to the size of the pot that when you called him, note that the pot size is now basically 200, and you guys have like almost 100 behind.
Yeah.
So
I should have shoved or what?
No, you mean preflop?
No, not. I mean, after he put the 90, instead of calling,
I would either fold or shove, and considering the fact that it is his hand and he is crazy, I would happily shove.
Okay.
Because he's very happy in raising. So, and like if it was anyone, I would probably shove anyway. But unless I know it's a very tight person, someone who only plays like very conservatively and very good hands. Your choices here were either going all in or folding. You can't call. When you call such a big bet, you have a $200 pot, and you have slightly more than 100 behind.
Yeah.
Basically 103, because that's what his heart has. This is the effective stack now. So think about it, like huge money already in the pot. You can't actually play anything. Anything that happens, it's either like all in or fold. And to be honest, when Izar went all in, you were kind of forced to call in this case.
Yeah, but I touched nothing, and I was like, that was kind of a wet flop. So maybe I was like, maybe.
I understand. No, you have to understand, though. I mean, the rules of a wet board. We'll get into that when we discuss post flop. But just to touch on it for a moment, there was so little money behind. You just needed to add 100 to win 300. Okay,
I understand.
So plus your 100. So you're getting 3-1 or 4-1 on the call, depending on how you look at it. So your odds were like insanely good. Okay, you're getting 3-1. You're getting 3-1. You need to pay 100 in order to win the 300 in the pot. So like you had, and I mean, you could hit an ace. You could hit the jack for a straight. I mean, obviously you had two jacks, but you didn't know that. You had enough power, enough equity to be calling here. So any questions, by the way? Or?
No, that's clear.
Okay, Tal, so just make a bet and okay. Okay, again, Izar, we've discussed this. If you want to make a raise, and I wouldn't even raise with this hand. I mean, first of all, like people already know that you're playing. You're doing. Look, when you have like a good clean image, then you can start, going crazy and making like raises with some mediocre or shitty hands. No, I wouldn't do it with trash hands. Still, I mean, I always fold them anyway. But if my image is clean and everyone thinks I'm only playing conservatively, I would occasionally make a raise with a mediocre hand. But everyone already know that everyone with eyeballs, okay, and two brain cells already know that you're making a lot of bluff raises. So no one respects your raises. So you should really stop doing that. I mean, consider that if you already have like a bad image, like an image that you're bluffing a lot, you should capitalize on that and make sure someone pays you off when you have a good hand. and not continue building on it, losing money with bad hands, trying to bluff them again and again. People that are unbluffable because they know that you're full of shit. Okay, that's just like a basic game theory. But regardless, ace two is just not a good hand to be raising with because it's just, I mean, if you hit an ace when they already know you might have an ace, they're not calling you, or if you have a better ace, it's just not a good spot. That's number one. Number two, the sizing. Again, if you're going to be raising, you need to make it 3 times the bet. So Tal makes it 6, you need to make it 18. Okay. When you make it 12, you're making it super easy for Tal to be calling you with basically anything, or to re-raise you. If he decided to re-raise you, we would make it, Tal, how big would you make a re-raise in this spot?
So I think I should add 6 to the 12.
No. Again, raise should be like 3 times, and a re-raise, I mean a 3-bet.
A 3-bet of the 12.
Okay, 3-bet is 3-bet is 3 times, and a 4-bet is 2 plus 2.1. So if he makes it 12, you should make it how much?
Wait. Okay. 36.
How much again? Sorry.
36.
No. What? 26. You should
26.
make it. 26. Yeah, because again, he made the 3 bets, so he should make it 3 times the bet. He didn't, but he should have. And when you re-raise him, when you make it a 4-bet, it's enough usually to make it 2.1. You could make it more if you want. I mean,
This is the 4th bet. Okay.
Yeah, you could. There are some new science. Poker science is talking about making it 2.4, 2.5. You know, so if you want, we can go wild and make it something like that. But 3 times is definitely too big. Okay. Okay. So, any questions about this?
Nope.
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, me too.
I should have bet. Sorry.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Let you will make the bet and collect the pot. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay, but let you just make a bet and you fall down it, so we can move on. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. First of all, that should be a fold, but we will discuss that in the next lesson when we talk about calling and what kind of hands should be calling. Okay, because basically what we discussed in this lesson is what type of hands, I mean, the sizing for making an opening bet and making a raise. But we didn't discuss and the type of hands that you open from every position. If it's under the gun, hijack, cut off buttons, the small and small blind. But we didn't discuss calling ranges. So 2-3 suited is in the speculative hands, very speculative, very weak. So that's not good enough to be calling with, especially not someone who is under the gun and playing conservatively well, should I say. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you see, you had the king queen. Now Itai, in your spot, you could call, you could make a squeeze bet. Okay, it depends mostly. Okay, yeah, I understand. Just letting you know that everyone know that, I mean, either calling or making a squeeze bet is fine. It depends on what you think, how conservatively Dana is playing. So if Dana is playing a lot of trashy hands or okay hands, you know, so you could make a very profitable squeeze bet here, squeeze raise here, make it again 6-6, so that's 12. If you would call, it would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, so that's 21. Okay, so 6 plus 21, you make it to 27, unless I'm mistaken. I don't mistaken myself. Okay, that will be the squeeze raise. If you decide to do that, calling is also fine. Folding very weak, I think, in this case. Okay, and just one word regarding the post flop, just because this is the last hand anyway, and I might as well. You in this case, you have a flush, okay, and you have a low flush, okay. Now, if a spade falls, then anyone can beat you. In this case, Dana could beat you with his queen high flush. So you can't afford to be just calling in this case.
I didn't
Okay,
take
I
it
mean,
seriously, but
yeah,
yeah.
I understand. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't care about, what your motives are, but I'm just saying, like, in general, if you have such a strong and fragile hand, you should be raising in this spot a decent bet.
How much would you say?
Yeah, like 36 is fine. Make it 3 times. I mean, for now, make it 3 times always, so that you never forget. Because the rule of 3 is awesome. You can't forget it. 3 times the big blind, 3 times the bet. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. Regarding the next lesson, what we'll discuss is calling. We'll keep on a bit going about this preflop. We'll talk about how what type of hands need to be calling with, and also yeah, like we'll discuss a few variations regarding like the size of opening, or you know, for more positions and stuff like that, and what is position basically as well. So before we end this, is there anything else? Any question anyone has?